I'll put my hand here where your head would be.
Okay.
So
It's good.
Good?
It's good, yeah.
Okay.
But don't move there
I won't move.
too much.
I won't move.
Hello, Jason.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, everyone. This is Michael with Productivity Magazine trailer. Talking to Jason Fried. Jason will be on our new Productivity Magazine as an interviewee. Again, hello, Jason.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Tell me about your career, because you started as a designer, as a contractor designer, and then right now your 37 Signals, your company,
yep.
You're doing web apps like Basecamp and High Rise,
yes.
Campfire, and then the idea is what has changed? I mean, are you still a designer?
I am. So I started out doing website design in college, 1995, 96. But I don't have a background in design. My background's actually in business. So I went to school for business.
Oh, okay.
But I've always liked design. And I learned, back in the mid-90s, the internet was starting to come on. No one was any good at this stuff yet. Everyone was brand new at it. So I learned from scratch just like everyone else did. And didn't really know what I was doing. I just learned. And it turned out that I really liked doing it. And I thought I was pretty good at it. And so I started doing website design and then started this company in 99. I was freelancing before that. And then we switched over to making software in like 2004, 2005. But I'm still very much involved in the design of the products, design of the marketing sites. I do all the writing for all the sites and all the products. But I'm not as involved with the day-to-day design. But more about the big picture stuff. I'll maybe mock something up or sketch something, and then someone else might work on it, or I might tweak it at the end. So I'm more like an editor. Where I set someone on the right track, they write something, or they design something, I look at it, I tweak it, adjust it to make sure it's good, and make it better, and then we launch it.
Okay, great. So you're the CEO, right, of the company?
Yes.
Let's say the president,
right? Yeah.
So apart from doing that, the editing part, what else do you have to deal with every day?
There's a whole bunch of stuff, just general administrative stuff, things that come up in the business that you have to deal with. Like, we just built this new office, so I spent like 3 months every day here while it was being constructed.
Every day?
Almost every, I would say almost every day.
Okay.
Watching, making decisions, making tweaks, telling them this, telling them that, answering this question, whatever. So a lot of that kind of stuff. Hiring things, whenever we have to hire somebody, I do all the hiring. I do a lot of thinking about new products and new feature ideas. I do, a lot of people want to meet for lunch, so I have to do that occasionally. Just a lot of business stuff.
Yes.
A lot of stuff. It's hard to, it's not, every day is a little bit different, but I still try and focus on the products most of the time and the marketing. And then there's just we don't have an HR department or anything like that, so personnel stuff I have to deal with and that kind of thing. Yeah.
And there's the people coming and asking for interviews. And
things like that, yeah. I enjoy this actually. This is fun. Yeah.
So there's no typical day. I mean, or are there any typical parts of the day that you always have?
Well, the thing that's typical for me is an inbox that has about 130 emails in it every day. So that's becoming, people ask questions about our products, or just about the company, or they want advice or whatever. So I have a lot of that to do too. Yeah. That's kind of the only typical things. Everything else is sort of based on what we're working on.
Exactly. So are you more a morning person or a late night person, or how would you describe yourself?
I get up early, but I don't really. I feel like I do most of my best work the second half of the day. Okay. And then a couple hours before I go to sleep, I like to get back on and work. I just like when it's dark out. I get more work done when it's dark.
Oh, yes.
And so this season right now, we're November, it gets dark out here around 4:30 or 5. Yes. I'm much more productive in the winter when it's dark early than I am when it's really nice outside. Okay. So I think I'm most creative at night. And the day is more about getting all the other stuff done, and then I can get creative later. Yeah.
And how would you describe? I mean, because you work from home as well, I guess.
Yeah, although I'm in the office most of the time now.
Most of the time now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I work at home at night. I work at home. I don't come to the office at night. I leave here around 5.
Okay. No, I mean, because the office is really nice. I testify. The office is really fantastic.
Thank you.
So I would hang out here often if I could.
I have worked here at night before, and it's actually kind of nice. But I don't really like being at the office late. I just don't like that habit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to go home.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you about the work-life balance. I mean, for example, with your family or others. I mean, how do you balance that?
I'm not very good at it. Okay. Is the truth. But I've gotten a lot better at it lately. I used to just work a lot. Yeah. Not because we had a lot to do, but just because I really loved it, and I still do. But I have to make time for people.
Yes,
and so I'm working on that, and I've gotten a lot better at it this year. Yeah.
Oh, good.
But you really have to be careful, especially when you really love a business. You
Yes.
can love people, and you can love a business. And you know, if you're in love with two things, it's hard to sort of figure out what gets what. And in many ways, it's sort of easier to love a business because a business isn't emotional.
Yeah.
A business doesn't have its own needs or desires, you know. So like it's easy to love the business and then not focus enough on people. But it's tough, and I'm just getting better at it now.
Okay. Okay. Well, totally, relate to that because I'm actually I love my business as well. I mean, so this is why my wife is always complaining, like saying, Michael, I get it.
Right.
You're really passionate about it, but I mean, here,
come on,
we have life here, right?
right. It's tricky. You gotta put. I mean, ultimately, you really have to put people first, but it's hard sometimes. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So as you know, I mean, magazine is about productivity, about getting things done, and I'm all this GTD evangelist kind of.
Sure.
And then tell me, I mean, you have read the book, I assume, right?
Yes.
And then tell me which aspects of getting things done are the ones that actually stick with you, or like the most important for you.
So I'm not a huge fan of systems personally.
Right.
What I like about the getting things done thing is it forces you to really figure out like what you really need to do.
Yes.
And that's important because I think what happens is anyone can make a list of stuff.
Right.
But they're not all equal.
Yeah.
And they don't all need to be done right now. And so I like the bucketing of things into time, into slots and priorities, and I think that makes a lot of sense to me. And like if his whole thing is like if you don't, I'm trying to remember what it is now because it's been a while, but like if you don't need to do it right now, like what's this thing about either do it right now or you put it away for later? What is that? How does that sound?
Someday maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I like that system, but in general, I'm not a big fan of systems because I think people are sometimes too religious about the system.
Oh yes.
And they forget, and they become so enamored with the system itself that they actually create more work for themselves to do because now they have the system that they have to fill up with things to
follow
do.
the system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way I tend to do things is I tend to keep in my head a couple things I need to do, and then I sort of forget a lot of other things.
Okay.
And then the important things keep coming up again, and I have to do those. Now that also means that I miss some things sometimes.
Yes.
And that's not good, but I've just found that I have never been able to be religious about a system, and then the harder I try, like, the less stuff I seem to get done for some reason, because I create more and more work for myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, if you have a bookshelf,
yes,
you have to fill it with books.
Right.
So if you have a getting things done like system, you have to fill it with tasks.
Right.
And so sometimes you create more work for yourself than you actually need to do.
Okay.
And so that's been my experience. So I kind of like in some ways forcing myself to not be able to keep track of things means I can only, or let me put it this way. If I don't have a system in place, I can't remember a lot of things. Or I'm going to forget a lot of things. So I tend to only have a few things that I really want to do.
Okay.
Like I don't have a big long list. I have short lists, and that works out well for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So let's go about the book. Let's talk about your book.
Sure.
So the Rework. Just to let you know, the Rework is a book that David and Jason wrote together, and it's their approach to the work, to how they work.
Right.
And it's reworked because it's a little different than what you would normally expect from a business book, right?
Right. I hope so.
Yeah. So tell me about the idea. When did you come up to? I mean, because you've been producing lots of content. When did you come up with the idea of the book?
Well, the book has actually been writing itself for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So we've been blogging for 10 years, and a lot of these ideas that are in Rework actually started on the blog. So we didn't set out to write a book. We set out to share. And then over 10 years, we started sharing, and eventually we look back and go, hey, we have a book here, probably. And then we looked at the blog and got the best of and talked a lot about what we're thinking about these days and sort of honed it and polished it and made it into a book. But we started doing that in early 2009, basically. It took about, I think it was like maybe 10 months or so to get the book ready. We worked with the publisher, so there's a lot of editing back and forth and that stuff. And we worked really hard on keeping it as short as possible. So this book you can read in 3 hours. Yeah. Most business books take you much, much longer than that.
That's true.
Days or weeks.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's a good thing. I don't feel like books should take that long to read. Especially if they're about business, which is all about getting back to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
getting stuff done.
Right, getting things done. So I want you to get through this book, get the big ideas, and then get back to work. And that's why it was short. But the cool thing is we took it from about 57,000 words to 27,000 words on the second to last draft. So we cut the book in half.
Wow.
And on the last draft to make it better. And I think that's generally my point, or my belief is that if you want to make something great, you got to cut it in half. You got to keep shortening it and really figure out what really needs to be there. And that's what we did with this book.
And wasn't your publisher not happy about it? I guess
they weren't initially. So actually, the contract said 40,000 words.
Okay.
And so they were happy when we were at 57,000, but our last draft was 27,000, so we're 13,000 words short of the contract. And the first reaction by them was, "This isn't good. You can't do this. We have a deal." We just said, just please read the book. Like, don't judge it before you've read it."
Yeah.
And they read it, and they said, "We love it. We're totally on board with what you've done here. This is the right way to do this, and like now let's figure out how to thicken it up a little bit."
Okay.
So because there's just things about books, like people want books that are thicker. They look thicker on the shelf. It's just psychology.
Right? Yeah.
So we decided that we were going to include an illustration with each essay.
Yeah.
Which ultimately would increase the page count by about 80 pages.
Yeah.
So that was sort of their solution. And we knew an illustrator that we really liked in Milwaukee,
mm-hmm.
a guy named Mike Rohde, and we hired him to do the illustration. So each essay in the book, there's 88 essays. Each one is an illustration.
Yeah.
So that's how we thicken the book up without adding filler words.
Yes.
A lot of books are about a third of them or half of them is good, and then they have to fill it up with more words to make it thick. We wanted the words to be just spot on, and then the graphics add to the words, and that was the idea behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've obviously read the book, but I actually started with the audio version.
Mm-hmm.
Then I bought the written one to make notes.
Yep.
But and now I have one with your autograph, so it's even better.
Oh, thanks.
So, but the thing is that I talked to many people about this book, and the reaction was like, "This is so great. It's so small.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's so short."
Yeah.
Because I just read it and just at one shot.
Right.
Everyone was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's very incredible." Like 3 hours, and I was done.
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
People just really loved this concept that it was so short because
Yes.
the messages are straight to the point.
Yes.
And
there's no filler. There's nothing. We're not repeating ourselves.
Yeah.
It's just to the point, direct. Each essay is a page or two long, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you don't need much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you really don't. This is not a book about very specific solutions. It's a book about ideas, ways to approach problems, ways to think about a business, and then it's up to you to fill in the blanks. It's not up to us.
So, this is. So tell me now. Okay, the book is there. It was a bestseller, right? I mean,
yes.
It's a New York Times bestseller, Amazon bestseller. I mean, just the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
So it's a really good.
We're very happy about that.
Thank
you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thanks.
Great to see that, and great. I supported that.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
But so now what? So I mean, you have the 4 apps, you have the book, you're just a best-selling author, you've got the business running very well.
Sure.
I'm sure you want to take it even to the next level, but what's next for you?
Well, we want to improve our products. That's sort of an obsession of ours, to continue to make the products better. We have 2 new product ideas we want to experiment with maybe next year. We've already started on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We want to work on integrating our products better, so we just launched a suite of products, so you can buy all of our products at once.
Yeah. Okay.
But they don't really talk to each other yet. I mean, they share users, they share billing and stuff like that, but they don't share, like in High Rise, you can't take a deal and turn it into a Basecamp project. You can't do some things like that. We want to work on that next year.
Yeah, to make them more integrated.
To make them more integrated.
Yes.
And we just want to I want to build the team a little bit more. I want to continue to learn. I want the team to get better. For me, it's really great to see everyone getting better all the time. That's like a real treat to help the team get better and see how people are maturing and taking on more responsibility. I really like to see the team grow.
Yeah.
We're also working on building our customer service team out a bit. They're a little tight. We only have 3 people right now, so we're working that out. So a little bit of growth next year, but still relentless focus on improving the products and making them integrate better. And then hopefully, if we have a chance, we'll get these 2 other products done. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited about those, so we'll see what happens.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, so I wish you all the best, and then thanks for having me, and thanks for the interview.
You bet. Thanks for having me, too.
Yeah.
All right.
It was a great idea to come to Chicago and visit you. So.
Well, I'm glad you can make it to the workshop and to the office today. Thanks.
Jason.
All right, see you later.
Yeah, it was good. Jason,
great, man.
Thank you.
You bet. I was going to try and throw in some Polish at the end, but I